Welcome everybody to the African Doctoral Academy Masterclass. My name is Natalie Kavalik. I'm the Program Manager at the African Doctoral Academy, and I'm joined by our guest speaker, Mr. Kuchner van Deventer, and my colleagues as well as Luther and Francois. Mr. van Deventer serves as the Manager of the Carnegie Research Commerce at Stellenbosch University. Since 2014, he has been actively involved in the library and information sector, and since 2019, he has focused on providing research support at Stellenbosch University. Mr. van Deventer specializes in guiding students through every stage of the research process, offering expert assistance with the technical aspects of their theses and dissertations. Mr. Kuchner van Deventer will be speaking on the topic of streamlining your research, managing sources with open source reference tools. We will be opening the floor to questions after the presentation as well as during, so please feel free to ask your questions in the chat or Q&A section, and my colleagues Luther and Francois will be assisting. Just a reminder to everybody that's joining the session today, it is being recorded and it will be also made available on our YouTube channel. The links can be found on the website. So welcome, and I will now hand over the platform to Mr. van Deventer. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Natalie. And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. And thank you for joining us today. So, I'm going to introduce you to some of the open source tools that you can use for referencing as a referencing aid and a referencing manager, and even a way to manage your sources where you can store everything in one place and easily navigate through them. So I thought I would touch on more than just the two main ones, but I've come to realize that actually there aren't really others that are open source that really compete with them. So I will introduce, Mendeley, the first one, Zotero, and then I will just briefly touch on, I still need to log in here, but on Word's built-in reference manager, which is the last one that I would recommend, but I do know that some people still do use it. Okay. But as a point of departure and a useful guide for future reference, and it's open to all of you, even though it's that we've created here at Stellenbosch University, is we have a library guide for Mendeley that's open to all of you to use. So if you go to the library websites, and let me just type it in in the chat for you, or actually I think it would be easier just to paste it. I'm just trying to see now. And let me share my screen. Okay, so I just pasted the link in the chat. And I will just give a couple of seconds for you to all go to the library website. You could also just in Google type in Stellenbosch or SU library. That should take you very quickly to our location. Okay, so once you are here, if you click on library guides here in this corner, I just want to remove this to my other page. Okay, if you click on library guides and you scroll down all the way to M for Mendeley, you'll find this resource here. And so this is our Mendeley library guide that we've got going, with a couple of FAQs, some information, some instructions on how to set up the old Mendeley desktop. We are not going to be looking at this one at all today. We will be looking at the new Mendeley reference manager. And so this is the one that you should focus on for today. But all the instructions here and some further guidelines and information is available here if you want to follow up or you want to double check on anything. Okay. But other place to go to if you don't want to go through the library homepage, it's just going straight through the university, straight to Mendeley's website. So you could just go to www.mendeley.com. Also typed it into the chat. And let me sign out so that you get the same screen, so that we all see the same screen that you would if you don't have a Mendeley account here. Maybe by a show of hands, can I get an idea how many of you have used Mendeley before? Okay, so not that many. Okay, that's good, actually. All right, you can lower your hands again. Then, okay, so I think the best place to start then for all of us is to create an account. So you'll click on the button here at the top, create account. And you'll get two options depending on where you are logged in. If you are, for instance, now sitting at your institution, you might get a page like this where it's going to say sign in with your organizational account, or you might just get a normal sign in window. If you are perhaps signed in from a private or your personal Wi-Fi or fiber account. And then you can also just fill in your details here. So I'm going to sign in here with my institutional details. And this is one of those things that I always love about live demonstrations, is because if something goes wrong, we should try and find a way to fix it. This is now the first time that I've seen this kind of error. It's quite an interesting one. So I'm going to just go and see what would happen if I just say sign in. I think that might be because I've already created an account. That is my assumption. So I'm just signing in, but if you haven't before, okay, yes, that was the issue. So if you haven't created an account before, you'll select create an account. If you have an account already, you will say sign in. You'll get, if you do the institutional sign in, let me just go back to this page, you'll get this kind of sapphire notice that'll ask you about your logging in policy. If it's on a private computer, you can say yes, continue. If it's on a public computer, I'd strongly recommend you say yes only this time. Okay. Very, very interesting. Okay, so in a case like this, if it doesn't work, I don't know why. I honestly can't tell you why that happens. It literally, I tested it a couple of minutes ago and then it worked. So I'll come back to this now. But you don't necessarily immediately have to create an account. You can also just scroll down to download Mendeley here at the bottom. Also, just to get an indication, did anybody else experience this login issue when you try to log in? I see there is a recommendation in the chat to not use the institutional account. This was an issue, especially previously, but Mendeley kind of did work around it to fix it. And it's been working better, but as I say that, I'm experiencing the issue I am experiencing now. So, yeah, I think that is also good advice that you should consider perhaps not using the institutional account if you don't have to. So the alternative Well, here we go. Here it signed me in now. I have no idea how that goes. Yeah, so if the institution did close your account, uh, uh, but yeah, that is why I would suggest either you also include a backup email address. So just to mention, if you go to settings, once you've created an account, just to mention, this is what the web page would look like. And if you click on settings, you'll have your email address, but there will be options, an option to create some additional backup settings as well. All right, but let's continue with the download then. So once you've got on this page, once you've signed in, you will get this window here, Download Mendeley Reference Manager. You can click on that, and then you'll just click on Download Now for Windows. And it will immediately start downloading, or depending on your settings, you can first decide where you want to save it. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the installation process. It's already installed on my side, but I am going to log out here just to show the same steps. If we, for instance, if I were to sign in for the first time, so let me just log out. So the first time that you open Mendeley, you will be prompted again to sign in. And this is the reason why I do still touch on the organizational account, because Mendeley kind of pushes you in that direction. Unfortunately, it's not the optimal choice to do that, but that is how they kind of set it up from their side, and sometimes it's a bit tricky to bypass it. If you know you are going to leave your institution, be sure to change your email address to a private email address once you've created an account. That can be done at any time. Anytime you can change the email address that's linked to your Mendeley account. Okay. So I already have a lot of references. On your side, you will now have a blank screen here with some tips, probably some instructions on downloading and updating a later version. On downloading the latest version of Mendeley, but everything else should be fairly blank on this side. So to give just an overview of the layout, on the left, you've got your kind of the breakdown of your library. So at the top, you'll have this little button, which is the first option to add a new reference to your library. All references will be this. Will include all of the references in your collection. Recently added, if you added any new references recently, that will appear there. Recently read will be ones that have been recently accessed. So for instance, if I were to now go to this one, and at a more detailed look here, it might pop up there. For instance, now it has come up here as recently read. Favorites are the ones that you've highlighted. My publications are ones that you would mark, for instance, as publication, your own publications. Duplicates would be added here. And this is quite a new feature. Mendeley didn't have this until quite recently, actually. And this is quite a nice way to check what duplicates there are in the in your library, and then you can decide which one to keep and which ones to delete. And then there's a trash folder, as is normal. Your collections, excuse me just a second. Are your group folders. So this is where you can organize your references. So let's say you want to do, you are now busy with your research proposal. So you could create a research proposal folder. And under that, you can create a sub-collection for it. So you could say for the literature review, and you should be able to create even a sub-collection for that. So literature review, let's say background of the topic. I'm being very generic now. Okay. And then here, lastly, here at the bottom are the groups. And this is where you can collaborate with others from other institutions, anybody else who has got Mendeley here, you would be able to work along with them. So you could, basically, you will create a group. I'm just going to say for today, a masterclass. And once you've done that, if I am correct, basically, we can create a collection under that and say article 1. And then if we go to your library online, there's the manage group option. And unfortunately, I'm not sure now. I just want to double check something if I overlooked it. Oh, no, there it is. For some other reason, I didn't look properly. If you click on manage group, here's an option where you'll be able to invite members to the group, and you can invite up to 25 others to join you. And then you can work and collaborate on a shared library for your whether it's a research project, article, whatever you're collaborating on. Okay. So in this case, I am going to go to this research proposal. So it's blank. This is what it's looking like now. So I'm kind of pretending that I don't have any references in my library just yet. So let's start, continue by importing references to the library. And I just want to check at this stage, are there any questions about the installation, about setting it up, about signing in? Did anybody have trouble signing in, getting past the institutional sign-in or switching to the private sign-in?
We just have probably one question. I'm not sure if it's related to that. It quickly says, is there any way to use the new Mendeley without the need for an internet connection like the old version?
I think it is possible. We can, yeah, I wanted to say we could test it now, and then I just realized, but I can't do that during a live stream, really. As far as I know, as long as it's been synchronized and it's already been installed, I think you can. I know initially it wasn't really possible, but this is why I'm also going to just touch on Zotero, the alternative to Mendeley, a bit later on, because Zotero is still fully functional as an offline option, and it works basically on exactly the same infrastructure, software infrastructure as Mendeley does. See, there's a hand raised.
All right, just hang on. I will just unmute this person quickly. All right, Mr. Puleng, you can just unmute yourself.
All right. Thank you so much, colleagues. Thank you for this opportunity. I would like to find out, I've got the existing version of Mendeley, which was installed on my laptop about 3 years ago. No, I'm lying, 4 years ago, before COVID. So I would like to find out if that one can be upgraded to the latest one.
So it doesn't necessarily upgrade. What you can do, you can still download and install this one, and you can use it. So the way Elsevier went about in their when they set this up is because they knew that the new version of Mendeley wasn't going to have all the features of the old version. They kind of wanted both you to use both softwares concurrently. So
that can be done.
Yes. The only thing that you can't do is you can't use the old Mendeley desktop. Let me see if I can quickly illustrate that. I just quickly want to do something so that I can make it clearer. I'm going to have to close Word for that. Wrong button, sorry. And now I'm just pressing all the wrong buttons. So for those of you who aren't clear on if I'm talking about the new version or the old version, this is Mendeley Desktop, the old version that unfortunately was very popular. It did very well. And then for some other reason, Mendeley decided they wanted to upgrade and bring out a completely new version, which is this one. Which was absolutely terrible when it first came out, but it has improved a lot. It really is a lot better than it was when it first came out. Now, what I want to just to demonstrate is that in terms of how the two programs are used in Word, that's where the main difference comes for these two. So, the old version of Mendeley uses this Mendeley Citomatic. And then the new version uses Mendeley Cite. And that's Puleng is the main thing. You cannot use these two at the same time. So you can have Mendeley Desktop and Reference Manager installed on your computer, but you can only use either Citomatic or Mendeley Cite in Word, not both of them in the same document. So just to show again, I am coming back to Mendeley Cite later on, so I might as well sign in now. This is unfortunately the one frustrating bit is you do get prompted quite a lot to sign in. Yeah. So basically, it's just two different ways in which the how you can use the reference manager in Word itself, but I'll come back to this later. So, okay, so I'm just going to minimize there, and then I'll continue, and I'll close desktop for now. Okay, so let's close a couple of these windows. And let's do a search. In the chat, you can just type if any of you have a topic that you want me to do a search on. You can just for fun, rather than me using the same boring topic over and over again. Any suggestions are welcome. And then also, if there are specific databases that you have access to at your institution that we maybe have on our side as well, it would be good to be able to see what we can do. Okay, so sustainability. And for that, I am going to, there is a nice specific one. Okay, so for that one, I'm going to use EBSCOhost. I think a lot of you are familiar with EBSCOhost. And yeah, from here, obviously, you can't necessarily, if you're not affiliated with Stellenbosch University, you won't be able to get access via our website. But you can follow me on a database or even on Google Scholar on your side. I will go to Google Scholar a bit later as well. Okay, so we're looking at AI. Let's use that one. Yes, you can definitely maintain a library. I see the question there, whether you can share a library with your supervisor. That is one of the nicer features of these research reference managers. I will show again or you could check the recording at a later stage as well. Okay, so exploring the ethical implications. So ethics. Let's use these synonyms, and I'm putting them together. And then I'm going to put inequality. Let's say like that. Okay, so we're getting a couple of results here. And okay, so the first option is the first way is to export, and just to demonstrate, is to download what we call the RIS file. And on almost any academic database, so it can be Science Direct, it can be any academic database, you will find a place where you can download what's called an RIS file. It stands for Research Information System. And just to illustrate, let's look at this first result here. Here to the right, we've got the cite or export options. And then these pop up as well. This view PDF or view PDF here on these sides. So I'm going to show you a few different ways of how you can import references into Mendeley. And the one I'm doing now or showing now is probably the most basic one, and it's the one that you will use if nothing else works on the day. So that's why I'm starting with it, because Mendeley does have a couple of other features that makes it a bit simpler to import references. So on the database or the location where you would have found your results, there will always be an option like cite or export or how to cite this item or something like that. So you can just click on that. And then you'll get some information here. And then here we get this message here in yellow, export to bibliographic management software. And then there's an option, direct export in RIS formats. And yes, whenever you get to this point, you have to look for the RIS option. You'll see sometimes there's even an option to endnotes, for instance, there. Not end of, sorry. We recently moved over to endnotes, so I'm kind of like my mind's in two places. But even if there's not a direct reference to Mendeley here, if you see RIS, that's the option you should choose. So that one, direct export in RIS, click on it, save. And then I'm going to just have to change something. If on your side, you can just click on it and it will likely open in Mendeley automatically. With me, it's not going to work now because it's linked to it's linked to EndNote at the moment. So I'm just going to change that. And then what you can do is you can just drag and drop. So wherever you save that RIS file, you click on it, drag it, and here it appears. And there you'll see you'll have your authors, you'll have the title, you'll have all the necessary information. And a lot of times, especially these days, they even include the abstract as well. And there's a URL on where it was accessed from. And importantly as well is the DOI, to be sure that there's a DOI link associated with it. Now, the other thing that's very important with any reference that you import, you can't just assume that it is 100% correct the way it was imported. You must always go and check that it does correspond with the requirements of your institution or with the journal that you are planning on submitting in. So, for instance, at our institution at Stellenbosch, we use sentence case. So we don't write our titles out like this. It will be an inquiry into the use of generative AI and its implications in education, boon or bane. And it might actually be a good question if there shouldn't be a question mark there at the end. And to double check that, you click on view the PDF. So there's no question mark, so that's not necessary. But yeah, so it's very important. These minor things are things that you have to change yourself. So this is what we call sentence case, and this is what we call title case, when all the keywords are written, starts with capital letters. And the title of a journal, at Stellenbosch, we always use title case for that. It's the only exception to the rule. Now, there's no page numbers, and a lot of times, especially these days, a lot of journals don't come with page numbers. But it's still good practice to include page numbers if you can. And the easy way to determine how to number a PDF without page numbers is just look at the number of pages that it has. So 1 to 14. And we just say there, 1 to 14. And now it should be fine. Another benefit is that you can also attach a PDF to the journal. So I don't want to download this one, or I don't want to click on that now because it's going to create a duplicate link. But as I mentioned earlier, there are different ways in which you can import references. I showed you the longest way around. This is another quick way, and I'll come back to it after I've finished this demonstration. But for now, I just want to go back here, and I want to get to this PDF. And attach it manually. Again, I'm just showing you how to do that so that you know on days that for whatever reason, the other ways don't work. Okay, so you just download it. And once it's been downloaded, we'll scroll down and there should be a place, Files. Here under Files, you just click on that little plus icon next to Files. And then you select the PDF. And now it's being attached. And now if I click on it, here I can view, here I can view it and even do some annotations. I can underline. I can do a rectangle highlights, change the color, make it a bit more readable. It's not really that great, the coloring. And you can add sticky notes and add and yeah, here you could say for add your own personal notes. For instance. Okay. So now to demonstrate the other ways in which references, in which you can import references. If you go to Tools here at the top, you'll see there's this little icon here, Install Mendeley Web Importer. So just to take you through the steps, I'm going to take you through up until the point where I can't take it further because I've already have it installed. So you'll click Install Mendeley Web Importer. And it will take you to this window where it will take you to your default browser. So if you are using Chrome or Microsoft Edge, it will take you to one of those, whichever one is the default on your computer. So here it will say Get Web Importer for Firefox. You just choose that. And then here, instead of remove, it will say install, and you just select the install options. Okay. And now let's go to I'm going to use another database just to demonstrate some further steps on this. Let's go to Science Direct. Yeah, I'm just looking at, I'm going to use a random search here at the bottom. And on this page, we've got 25 results. Now, if we go to the web importer, let me just pin that to the toolbar. So this is the web importer here at the top. The first time you click on it, it's going to prompt you to sign in. And as you can see, it actually detects all the PDFs or all the sources on this page. And one of the reasons this works very well, specifically with Science Direct, is because Science Direct is also an Elsevier product like Mendeley. So they're very well integrated, but not all databases necessarily will work that well together. Okay, so I'm going to select all of them. And what's nice as well is you'll see some of these actually have got this little PDF in pink highlighted. Not all of them, but quite a lot of them do. And that means that when I'm going to add them to my library, or where is it? Let's say research proposal, let's say research proposal literature review, that is going to export these references along with the PDFs, except for those where it says failed. So now let's go and have a look. We went to literature review. It's just hanging on my side. Oh, there we go. And here we go. So we've got our different sources, and here at the right, we've got links to be able to download those PDFs. So they don't immediately download the PDF, they just attach a link. So if I click on this now, it will go and load that PDF document for me. And here we have it. Again, and add some notes. Excuse me. Okay. So those are probably the two main ways in which you would be able to import references. The web importer works really, really well. There are days that it's offline, and that is why I showed you the alternative of downloading the RIS file. And then there's another way as well. This doesn't work well for PDFs that you get from sites like ResearchGate or academia or so. This will only work well from for PDFs that you download from academic databases. So I'm going to do a quick other search. Let's just make it straightforward. Okay, and I don't want, okay, so I've got 25 results, and I'm going to download these PDFs. Okay, so now they've downloaded, I just need to unzip them. Let's just do that in the downloads folder as well. And now on Mendeley's side, I'm going to import files from computer. Or let's say import folder. No, let's say import folder. I want to go to download. There it is. I'm going to select that one, and I want to say upload. You'll see here at the bottom, it is now in the process of uploading all those PDFs. One more to go. Oh, it's a big one. All right. Okay, so to differentiate between those and the others that's been added so far, I'm going to click here on the added button to just organize it according to time. And here you can see all the ones that's now been uploaded, 146 to 147, are the are the articles that's just been loaded. As you can see, as I imported the PDFs, they generated the references as well. Come on. Sorry, my Mendeley is just behaving a bit slowly. I don't want to access the actual article. I want to access I'm trying to figure out why my right side window is not showing all of a sudden. So I'm going to close it quickly and see what happens if I reopen Mendeley. Might just be a temporary glitch. In the meantime, are there any questions?
Yes, I think we just have one or two. The first one asks, can we maintain a library online and share with research supervisors?
Yes, you definitely can. So, okay, let's see. My Mendeley has reloaded. So here at the bottom, this group here, I think so if you once you've created a group and you select manage group, then you can invite other members to join that group, and they will all be able to view and modify depending on the the rights that you give that person, they will be able to make the necessary changes to a group as needed. Here I see you can even determine the formatted citation style of your of the library, which is quite a nice new addition that I haven't seen before. Now it's back. Good.
Okay, and I think we also have another one, more so a comment and question in one. I've just discovered my old references and my new searches have been synchronized. Perhaps it's due to resetting my password.
Old references and my new searches have been synchronized. I'm not 100% sure. So if it's your old references from, let's say from Mendeley Desktop, if it's the old software that you're talking about, specifically, it will synchronize. So you only have one online profile, basically. And that's going to synchronize with the old version of Mendeley and with the new version of Mendeley. And it will include basically all those. If you previously had, let's say, one account or two different accounts, and they've now synchronized, I'm not too sure how that happened, I must say. If you'll excuse me, I've got a bit of hay fever. Okay. All right. So now those are the main ways in which PDFs and references are imported into a library. Let's go back to the literature review. This is where I stored them. And yeah. Now let's look at the last final database. Now that's one that's quite popular. It's Google Scholar. Okay. Let's see what the topics were a bit earlier again. Let's do a bit of the sustainability. Well, let's look at the sustainable development goals. And AI, see what comes up. Right. So if you've got an online profile, an online Google profile, I think most of us would have. There is this option where you could say My Library, and then you'll be able to save a bunch of different records. You could also use the Mendeley web importer. It sometimes does pick up the references on Google Scholar. So here it does actually do quite well. But only 10 have been detected out of the ones that we've got here. So it's not all of them. So you'll have to check closely which ones do actually are being exported. If the one that you want to export, let's say for instance, this one at the top is not, I do see it does appear here actually. Is there one that's not? No, it actually looks quite good. Okay, let's say on the day the web importer does not work. The other way that you would export from Google Scholar, again, you'll see there's a cite option there. You'll click on that, and you'll click on this refman. Specifically, very important, you'll click specifically on the refman one. And again, because it will then download the RIS file, which you can then drag and drop into Mendeley. And there you'll have it. But these records that you get from Google Scholar, you have to really double check them quite well to be sure that their details are appropriate or are good. Because oftentimes the information is incomplete on Google Scholar. We've noticed that quite a bit and requires quite a bit of close attention to detail. Okay, so now we've got a couple of sources, and now we want to be able to kind of keep track of the notes and things that we've taken so far. Just to add one or two more, I'm just going to add some more notes here. Let's see if we can move it. No. Oops. I'm not actually quite sure how to remove one once you've probably have to do it like that. Select, yeah, okay. But yeah, they can't be moved. Oh, there we go. Okay. So check lack of, and once I've done that, I'll go back to that library. There's another library, and here's a notebook as well. And I just want to add some additional information to this specific reference: political polarization and primary elections. And let's just add another note here. Look for additional sources from that journal. What's a very, very nice feature of Mendeley is that it's got this notebook here at the right, where you should, from what the way I understood it was, there was actually what would have been a way for you to check all of your info and your annotations in one go, but I think that's actually not the case anymore. But yeah, for each of your references, you can make annotations. You've got a notebook where you can make specific notes. The notebook you can actually create would be all-encompassing, and you can include information on all your references as you go through it. And the annotations and so on would then give some additional information there. Okay. All right, yeah, and that's Mendeley in a nutshell. Before I continue now to Microsoft Word, I just want to check if there are any other questions that's come up.
Yes, we have two that just popped up. One of them, if I uninstall the old Mendeley, the desktop version, will it affect running of the new Mendeley reference that I have installed?
No, it won't. Not at all. The only thing that's really important if you do uninstall it is to first make sure that you uninstall the Word add-on. So before you uninstall it, you'll go to Tools and you'll say uninstall MS Word plugin. And then you can uninstall and it won't have any, there won't be any consequence or effect on your newer version of Mendeley.
Okay, and the second one, Can you perhaps show us how to import Mendeley in a Word document using Manage Resources? Can it be done in such a way that if you change maybe from Harvard or APA to Mendeley?
Okay, so the way we use Mendeley in Word is specifically with this application or this add-on here on the right called Mendeley Cite. It's you'll find it under your references section here. It doesn't form a part of Managed Sources. Managed Sources is a completely different software. It's Word's own proprietary software for managing references in a Word document, and it's really not the optimal or the ideal version that's available. So if you use Mendeley Reference Manager, you will also have this option here to install Mendeley Cite for Word. You will just click on that, and you will have to do that the first time around. It won't be automatically installed in Word. So I'm just going to let me close Word and just take you through the steps. And let's say install Mendeley Cite for Microsoft Word. It will take you to the Microsoft App Store, and you'll just click on Get It Now. You might be prompted to sign in. So this Mendeley Cite, you'll see it's got a star rating of 2, and that is from the early days when it first came out, when it was horrible. It was really, really terrible. And unfortunately, so many people voted it down then that I don't think it's ever going to be able to redeem itself. But it isn't that horrible anymore. It does actually work quite well now these days. I'm just trying going back in Word. Okay, so once you follow those steps, it should be installed and it should appear here. Okay. And yes, the first time round, you will be prompted to sign in. I might be prompted now again because I exited, but luckily not. Okay, so I just want to change that. And I want to generate some random text quickly. Just want to, can't remember the command for that. Okay. So let's stick to our research proposal and the references that we imported. So here's all of them. And now we can start adding references. Okay, so basically what you will do is once you've typed up a sentence, you will just put a space before the full stop at the end of that sentence. And then you'll select the reference or references. Obviously, you can choose more than one. Note at the bottom here, it will highlight which ones have been selected. And then you click on that, and then you say insert 3 citations. And now you'll see it's referenced it like that. And that is because the citation style is incorrect. I'm going to switch it to APA, which I don't see here, interestingly enough. So let's just see APA. There we go, American Psychological Association, 7th edition. So just to show you again how I got to that, under citation settings, I clicked on change citation style. And if the citation style is not included in the list of styles that that appear here, Then you'll click on search for another style, and you'll type in the details of that style. So if it's Vancouver, for instance, you'll see Elsevier Vancouver over there, and so on. Okay, but here we've got our reference. Now it's generated a couple of references there. Here I want to add another reference. And let's say like that. But let's say, for instance, you want to write it like according to. Ooh, my spelling. And let's say, let's choose Liu and Lei. Now I'm going to select this one. And I'm going to alter according to Liu and Lei, we want to change the order of how this appears. I'm just trying to get a space there between. There we go. Now we finally got it right. Okay. So in order to change the appearance of a reference or to add page numbers or so, you'll click on the reference you want to edit. So it's highlighted. And then you'll click here at the bottom right. And then you'll change here, display as, you'll change author with year in brackets. And let's say there are page numbers, let's say 149. And we say save changes. And there it will then do the necessary changes as required. And we can add other references. Unlimited amounts. You can even, let's say, for instance, let's add 2 references there. And then if you want to add another one, you just add that, click on that, select that one, and you say save changes. And there it will go. All right. And then here we can do another one like this. You don't have to, you can say, let's just quickly see, insert citation, but let's already fix it before we insert it, author year, add page numbers 98, and insert. And then you'll get, according to Spada et al., 242 random text. And then at the end, once you've now finished, you've added all your references, you'll click on these 3 little buttons here, and you'll say insert bibliography. It will ask you, it will say bibliography will be inserted at the cursor location. Then you just say continue, and there it generates your bibliography. And yeah, that's the key aspects of that. Is there anything I should go over again there in this, or any other questions you might have on that?
Okay, so we have a question over here, and I think you pretty much covered that. The participant notes that, okay, just a moment. Does Mendeley insert the in-text citations in brackets at the beginning of a sentence or paragraph, which I think you've just demonstrated? Is there a way to fix this without manually editing each citation?
Yeah, no, that you'll have to manually do every time. Unfortunately, there's no default way. or automatic way that is done. The default way a reference appears will be within brackets. Every time that you do paste one, or that you're going to do according to or as noted by this author, you're going to have to change it manually.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, yeah, and as easy as pie to change the citation style, you just select another one like the Stellenbosch University or Harvard style. If you click on it and say update citation style, it will automatically make the changes, which don't look really great in this instance. I'm not sure where those extra spaces came from now. But yeah, that's how, if you do, let's say, for instance, you wrote your thesis in one style, and then for a journal, you have to change it to another style. This makes it a lot easier than it would have to be if you had to make the changes manually. Okay. So yeah, we've still got a bit of time left. So I'm going to, what I'm going to do now is just give you a brief overview of Zotero. And then we're basically going to be finished for the day. So Zotero, I'm just going to paste it in the chat as well. So Zotero is the alternative. Now, there's a lot of people that prefer Zotero because it's a lot less controlled than Mendeley is. It's completely open source. Nobody owns it. It's a completely open source software that's managed by a community on GitHub, and the benefit is that there's a large community of support, but it's not necessarily the type of support that will speak to you. Whereas Mendeley, you get support directly from Elsevier, which can be quite beneficial. Overall, Zotero is considered a bit more stable, and it's very similar to the original Mendeley desktop. Which a lot of people still kind of wish they had, wish that Mendeley just kind of stuck with that. Okay, so there's no cost involved. As with Mendeley, it's completely free. You create an account. I've already installed it. So as you can see, this is what it would look like on this side. My library, I think, is currently empty. So same process. Let's add some information. A collection. I'm very unfamiliar with Zotero, I must confess. So I need to figure things out sometimes. But yeah, import. Let's say, yeah, RIS file. And I'm just going to select that one. That's just going to be one reference now. And let's add those PDFs that I got as well. So I'm just going to drag, same process, same features as with Mendeley. You can just select the PDFs and you can drag and drop them into Zotero. And technically something should happen. Quite interesting. Doesn't seem to be working. I would have thought that it would. Oh, I think here we go. Here we have it now, finally. I'm curious now if I made some duplicates. But yeah, Now we've got our PDFs, we've got our reference. Same, you've got your annotations that you can do to annotate it. And you've got your reference details here at the right. Okay, and here it's now in the process of retrieving the metadata for these PDFs. So it doesn't work as fluidly as I think Mendeley Reference Manager. And as I said, we used to recommend Zotero as an alternative because Mendeley, the new Mendeley, was so terrible. But since Mendeley's improvements, I could really recommend just sticking with Mendeley, to be honest. So let's just go back here. Oof, I'm going to cancel. It's creating a massive mess now. It was very slow to my responses, and I think that's why. Yeah, I'm just closing it before it becomes too much. Let's see if I can open that again. And I'm going to delete those. And I'm rather just going to quickly download a couple of sources. Let's say I want at least 25. So you'll see that the Mendeley web importer should technically work even on a library's homepage. But it does depend. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But here we've got a couple. Okay, select all. But I don't want to add them. I just realized I almost now exported them to Mendeley and we're working on Zotero. My bad. Okay. Okay, so now I've selected all of these ones, and here's the option. I'm going to choose RIS. So even here where you see there's a Mendeley option, or still select RIS is my recommendation. Download. Okay, so now I'm going to import a file, the RIS file I just got. You see there is an option, or there was an option where you can actually import directly from Mendeley. Okay, so now we've got a couple of references. One thing is a tiny little thing. It really isn't that major, but what I like about Zotero is that it highlights to here what kind of source you're looking at. Here we have, for instance, we can see now this is a book and the others are all journal articles. But the rest you'll see is essentially the same. You've got your metadata here at the right, where you need to make sure that all the information is correctly entered. Same with as with Mendeley. Here at the bottom, you've got some keywords that you could look at. It's basically been highlighted. If you select one of those, It will then highlight which references or which sources look at those, include those keywords. But again, also groups, where you can create groups. And I think with this one, what I don't know is whether you can actually collaborate with Zotero as well. That's the one feature that I'm not too familiar with on their side. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's the main differences. The add-on for how it works in Word, I don't want to add it to my Word document now because it really does conflict with Mendeley and with EndNote, which I already have installed. And EndNote is also has got different prerequisites as well. So yeah, that's it. I think just a short overview of Zotero. There's a lot of content on the web available on YouTube where you can go, and if you want to learn a bit more about Zotero, they'll be able to assist you. Okay, so final round for questions.
Okay, I know even though we moved to Zotero, we still have quite a number of questions on Mendeley. One of the participants asked, could you advise on reference addition using USB Library Assistant? My apologies if you've already discussed this.
USB Library Assistant. I'm not too familiar with that. Perhaps we can unmute Ms. George so that she can just elaborate.
Okay, I see they typed in the chat they're referring to Stellenbosch Library Assistant.
Oh, the research assistant.
Probably that. Yes, they've confirmed yes.
Okay, so this is, unfortunately, I can't really, it's not what we're discussing today. As I'm more kind of like focused on the reference managers. But yeah, as a brief introduction, and the other reason I don't want to talk about this is because I think the majority of our attendees in this session won't have access to the research assistant. It's basically an AI tool that we've now acquired for our clients at the university. And maybe you could look at it for your institution as well. But from as far as I know, it's only available to SU registered clients.
Okay, can I move on to the next question?
Yeah, you can, Salam.
Okay, can one use both Mendeley Desktop, Mendeley Web, and Zotero at the same time on one laptop?
Yes, but not in one document. So you can have all of them installed on your computer, but you cannot use all of them simultaneously in one Word document, for instance. That will cause a conflict because they all use different systems of referencing. So yeah, that's the main thing I would advise against. But you're more than welcome to have. I've got all the software. I've got Mendeley Desktop, Mendeley Reference Manager, Zotero, and EndNote installed on my computer, and there's no conflicts as long as none of them run concurrently in Word.
Okay, thank you for that. Moving on to the next one. If Mendeley Web Importer has been installed, how does one get it to open up, for example, on Chrome browser?
To import website references using the I've installed the Mendeley Web Importer. Um, I think that's actually quite a tricky one because I can't really tell why it wouldn't be working on your side. It might be that there is a setting on your browser or a pop-up blocker or something like that that's preventing it. So the best advice I could give you would be to actually email Mendeley directly. So Mendeley's got a very good, their customer support is really quite good. So if we go to the support center here, and yeah, here at the bottom. So I'm just going to type that in the chat. But there's an email and a chat function where you can reach out to them for some further assistance. Because that seems like a technical issue. And unfortunately, there are just days that the web importer doesn't want to work.
Okay, moving on to another question. You spoke earlier about AI. And there's this question, have you encountered any emerging AI tools that integrate well with Mendeley for tasks like citation management, literature analysis, or paper summarization?
I think the closest one that I'm aware of, now I'm just trying to remember the name. I'll have to go to one of our library guys to have a look quickly. Recite. It's this one called Recite Works. This is quite a nice document, or basically what it does is it doesn't necessarily work with a reference manager, but it works well with a document where if you upload a document, it will scan for your references and your in-text citations, and then it will highlight potential issues that it might have picked up. So let's just see, I'm just looking for the actual annotated article. But yeah, basically now it's showing in-text references. It's saying it's not, so there's no reference associated with the author, Gill, or the year 1976. And in that way, it will highlight a couple of different issues. Same way in the reference list. There's the article. So it will say, okay, this in-text citation, it doesn't appear anywhere in the, or this reference isn't cited anywhere in the document. And the annotated article will then appear like this, and it will highlight the different sources. Green is okay, orange is bothersome, and red is a complete issue. It's not free. You'll see there is pricing options for this available. There are free, there's free option available where you get 2 uploads per day. But where the first 2,500 words are checked and the first 50 references are checked. But that's the only, that's the max that you can add to it.
Okay, thank you for that. We just received another question. Can we import an unpublished PDF document from websites, for example, from UNESCO.org?
You can, but it's not going to generate a reference for you. What you're going to get is, let me quickly do an example of that. This is actually one I can use now. Okay, so this is a chapter from a thesis. And as you can see, it's got no information. It's only generated the title that is the title of the PDF. And that is what you're going to get with a lot of these PDFs that you get from organizational websites like that, like UNESCO, or from academia or ResearchGate or any of those websites, any PDFs that you get from there. So you're going to manually have to enter the necessary information here, unfortunately, in cases like that.
Okay, thank you for that. I see we don't have any questions, but just one final question, probably just to round up everything on my end. What's one feature or trick in Mendeley that you think is underutilized by most users?
Probably, I'm going to have to be perfectly honest with you because I haven't worked with Mendeley for nearly a year now because we switched over to EndNote. I'm not 100% sure which one I would say in that case. I think now that there are some new features here that's well worth looking at. The watch folder is a particularly nice feature that I actually didn't touch on, where you create a folder on your computer. So I'm just going to create one on my desktop, call it Mendeley watch folder. And I do think this is generally underutilized in most reference managers. And now, if I were to add, now I just want to select which folder to watch. Let's just go to my desktop. I'm going to select Mendeley watch folder. And now let's just get a PDF. Oh, no, it's going to be better to search here. Okay, well, just as a demo to earlier, but yeah, this is the Research Assistant, which is still in beta mode on our side. It's basically an AI tool where you can type in any question any way you want to ask it. How do computers work? And it will use sources that we have access to at our library to answer the question that you ask. But yes, unfortunately, this is only available to Stellenbosch University staff and students. Okay, but what I'm looking for is a journal article. There's the PDF, and I'm going to download it. And I'm going to say save, and I want to save it in the watch folder. And there it's uploading. It's automatically uploaded. So basically any PDF that you save in that watch folder that has the necessary metadata to generate a reference will then automatically be uploaded into Mendeley.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Very useful, very useful. Just when I thought we were done, we just have 2 more questions that just popped in, if you don't mind.
Okay.
But I think the first one is asking, can you please demonstrate again how articles are cited in MS Word using Mendeley? And I would just advise that since you've already done it, the video will be made available on our YouTube, and you can rewatch and, rewind and, try it out yourself. But then another one asks one last question from my end. In the list of references, the line space is sometimes off, and maybe I need to change it to e.g. first line hanging after manually changing the list, sometimes when I reopen the file, it changes to default. Any way to work around this?
Okay, unfortunately, that is determined by the style you are using. So, for instance, here, I've got no line indents. I change it to APA, and then I've got my indents going. So there is a way to edit the actual style. It's called the citation style language editor of Mendeley, but it's very technical. And it's one of the other reasons that we moved away from Mendeley is because it made it so difficult to edit and customize a style. So my only advice would be that if you want to make these kind of broad changes to your reference list, wait until the end, just before you plan on submitting your document and you're 100% sure you're completely finished with your referencing. Then you'll press Control A, or you'll select everything in your document like this, and you'll right click and you'll say remove content control. And what happens then is it disables Mendeley in your document. So Mendeley is no longer in the document. You can now make the changes that you want to make, and Mendeley will not overwrite it every time that it updates anymore.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that would be all the questions from my end. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that's it then in a nutshell, I think. Yes, thank you.
No, super. So again, a very, very big thank you from the African Doctoral Academy to our presenter, Kuchna. We really do appreciate you taking the time to show the ADA delegates just, how to use Mendeley, how they can use it specifically for their research, especially those that are doing their PhD, when they've got multiple references that they will be needing. So I think the tips were very handy and also very useful. But again, huge thank you to our presenter, also to my colleagues, Luther and Francois, who assisted throughout the session, and also to all of those who joined today. So thank you, and we really do appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure. And anytime in future that you need me again, I'll be more than willing.
Thanks so much, Kuchna. We do appreciate it, and we do look forward to having you again. Also, to everybody that's also joined, please look out. We will have another masterclass in November, which will be circulated on the newsletter as well as on our social media platforms. So we will keep you updated. But I hope everybody has a good afternoon, and we will see you again. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.